before you go for the interviews. And I've definitely utilized like the websites, but I've never seen about their reading programs or anything specific like that. Where's a good spot to get that information, especially if you don't know somebody in the district?
Again, you'd have to ask at the office, just call the elementary school office and say, looking at this school, and just want to know more information about it. I know when I moved to the area, the principal was very helpful in telling me what kind of programs they had and offered me to come in. There are some, and I don't know how far you can get into the school, but you can go to certain teachers' websites. If you go into the school, Cortland Elementary School, under faculty, there are some teachers that have websites that might talk about their reading programs or remind the kids to read.
Calling the principal is not a bad idea. You can do that, and they generally will get back to you. That's how I found out about the reading programs in the last two school districts I was in. Because I called the principal and they said, "Who do I talk to?" They were kind enough to put me in touch with somebody.
Someone else?
I don't fully understand the credit recovery programs. Like, are they something that a student takes once they fail the course or miss the course, or is it like supplemental?
And there are two different things, okay, with credit recovery. The Plato program has two forms. You can take what you missed out of the course. Suppose say you missed one 10-week time period, and you need that information to really go on. You can take, if we've got that course online in the Plato program, you can take what you missed and then join the rest of your class. If you failed the class, you can take the whole course again if it's offered on Plato. So it depends. We don't have that fill in the rough spot with every course that we have, but we do with a lot of them. I don't know about that.
Robin, that's the same way. And we can set up the course that the student has to start at the beginning, the first pre-test, and has to do the entire subject. If it's a repeat course, they can start with the pre-test. If they score 80 or above, they can go on to the next chapter. And then,
That way you can see where they are.
You can
I
see
know
where
the
the
same
gaps
thing
are.
happens with Plato. You can skip over sections if you're okay.
and ours we use either as credit recovery to make up for credits if they've lost to graduate on time, or supplemental for students. Last year we used it a lot. October, November for students with concussions, because they couldn't come to school for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, we had the same problem.
Yeah, and so they just take that section of chemistry or math, or whichever they miss, and they just schedule it. In our program, they can do the program from home. It's an online
Plato,
course.
yeah, Plato does the
They
same
just
thing.
have to take the tests at school.
Once they have their sign-on number, they can go on anywhere.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am?
It seems like Common Core standards are undoubtedly like taking control of education and putting a lot of pressure on students as well as the APPR and stuff like that. I just wanted to get your perspective on what you think this will do to like graduation rates, because I think that's a huge issue with the state is the test scores and graduation rate.
I actually don't see the Common Core as a bad thing, because what it is a way of standardizing the level of material that all of our school districts provide across the state, across the nation. I know when I taught in Maryland, they had Goals 2000, which literally raised all of their standards across the board for the state of Maryland. And I think that's what they're trying to do with this. And there are plenty of school districts that are already meeting or exceeding the Common Core standards. But we hear about it so much, I think it's put everybody in a little bit district is under that core level, beneath it, and they need to reach for it, then they probably need to get busy. But I think there are a great many schools in New York State, because of our Regents exams and the need to meet those exams, that many of our schools are already pretty close. Yeah, there's pressure, because everybody wants to make sure that we've got it all covered. But I've been pleasantly surprised in talking to teachers and department chairs in other districts to realize that we're in pretty good shape around here. I don't know across the state, but many of the people I've talked to have said, because we're doing Regents exams, because we have to meet that need, we're already pretty close. So I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. It is a little more work, and we've got to make sure our homework is done. But I think it's ultimately it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it is a good thing, because you'll have students, we have a huge transient population, and students coming from one state to the other will have, like, the materials, they'll know things if they've started ninth grade in Maryland, and then they come up to finish up in New York State, they'll have the same material. Like, how many states are adopting the Common Core?
48.
Yeah. So it should be a positive thing. I'm hoping it'll increase graduation rates. It's the, I'm gonna say this politically correct. I think part of the things that making graduation rates difficult is that there's no way, it's very difficult for students nowadays to go into the technical fields, to go to BOCES. They have to have so many regencies and things under their belt before they're even eligible to go there, that they give up and drop out before they're eligible for a skill, regular skill.
I would agree with everything that Warren and Tracy said. I would say, there's, the Common Core standards themselves are a good design, and it's gonna help us in the long run. The testing part is frustrating, because it just, that really stresses students out to have to perform on a certain test. And we're, as teachers, we have to put pressure on them to perform a certain way, because it reflects on us and our jobs. And I think that pulls the focus away from where it ought to be, with the student achievement and the students' lives and how it is affecting them. So I think in the short term, I think we may have more students frustrated with the system that's bubbling up and frothing at the mouth, trying to figure out what to do. There will be some students that will have a hard time with it, and may want to drop out as a result of that, of some of those pressures and lack of support that they were receiving before, because there's less people to give the support. There's less people thinking about giving support, because their minds are bottled up with other issues. Down the line, we may see better things, but I've not seen the benefit of rigorous testing over and over. Students recognize that it's just sort of another hoop to jump through. They don't really understand what's benefiting them to be assessed. It's not, the assessments, at least not yet, are not geared that much towards let's make it better for the students. The focus is let's just make our scores better. So until we get out from under all the new changes, and we can just get in some sort of a stride towards the future, and we are going to see some people struggling.
Stacy?
I'm looking through my notes, and I see that you keep coming back to this idea that the schools are being forced to come up with creative solutions to teach the lower level students with less staff and with less money and less time. And you're also saying that there's not a lot of guidance in more specific ways to instruct those groups. And just a moment ago, you said it's important to do your homework, and
I know about Engage New York as far as informing myself about the Common Core, but are there other resources that you found particularly helpful or channels that you've gone through to really inform yourself since no one is laying out a blueprint for you?
Engage New York is a good one. I think the BOCES programs in the state have been doing a really decent job of trying to provide professional development around these issues. So make sure that you access those if you're in New York State as a teacher. My school district has worked really hard to try to give us programs, offer things through mylearningplan.com that we can go to, and people that we can hear. We can go pick the brains of somebody else to find out what we're doing. I wish I had a whole list for you. I don't off the top of my head. But take advantage of anything that you see coming down the pike that looks like it might fit your needs. A lot of times you can go in and pick up something at BOCES in a 3-hour session that you're going to find invaluable. There'll be those that are clunkers, but most of them are pretty good. Okay? And the reason they're clunkers is because they don't need exactly what you need at that moment. Not the programs at all.
And if your district has a teacher center and you're not finding what you want,
If you have a teacher
if
center.
you, if your district has a teacher center in the area, even if you don't, if your district doesn't have one and your neighboring one does, if you just let them know, our teachers are looking for these kind of programs, are you offering any Common Core programs? APPR, SLOs, student learning objectives.
You're not allowed to call them
You're not allowed to call them SLOs. Student learning objectives, yeah.
Well, if you Google that, you come up with some really
I know.
interesting stuff. Even if you type in student learning objectives, you come up with some really
Oh,
nice
and
ideas. I mean, helpful ideas
Yes, it's
for
true.
all content areas on, if you have music in the 5th grade, you can do this student learning objective and this, how to assess it.
And be aware that publishers are getting on the bandwagon very quickly with this. So be careful what you're looking at too. Make sure that what you do for a student learning objective actually is what you should have. Okay? Because, little known fact, the state set this up in a framework. It's about 3/4 complete. And they said, we're going to implement, but we're not done. Doesn't matter, we're going to implement, and that's where it is. APPR is in the same situation. It's not complete from the state end, but we're expected to implement anyway. So there's going to be some wiggle room, but there also might be places that publishers tell you that this will work, and the state's going to say, no. So be careful. Make sure you use your district's program or protocol.
Yes, ma'am.
What is a PARC assessment?
I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's like the next version of the Regents.
It is the new standard for assessing, and it's not just New York State.
State and it's K-12.
Yeah, it's K-12.
We have no idea, they're just quarterly assessments that you have to make for.
What I was told was that it's eventually going to replace the Regents exams. And that there will be like a PARC assessment for every grade level, not unlike what North Carolina does with the end of grade test and what grades 4 through 8 need to do with ELA exams.
Can I use a bold term? Are any of you familiar with outcome-based education? Okay. In a way, what I've understood out of the PARC assessments